So in algebra, we use certain symbols to represent larger or smaller quantities or quantities that are unequal. So if we want to use a mathematical symbol to say that one number is larger or one expression is larger than another, we use this sign. This is the greater than sign. This means greater than. Greater than. All right, so I could say 5 is greater than 4. All right, so you would read it like that. Then we have the less than sign. All right, this is less than. And so I could use this to say 0 is less than 10. And we also have the not equal to sign. So this is an equal sign with a slash through it. This means not equal to. We have approximately equal. All right, so we could say approximately equal. Okay, so for example here, I could say that 16 is not equal to 16.1, but I could say that 16 is approximately equal to 16.1. Okay, so it is, if we were to round 16.1, it is approximately equal to 16, but it is not exactly equal to 16. All right, so what we're going to be focusing on in this video is comparing fractions using greater than or less than signs. So let's say I have two fractions. Let's say I have 1/10 and I have 5/9. All right, and I want to know which one of these is larger, which one of these is smaller. Well, the reality is we cannot just look at these fractions and compare them. We have to do a little bit of a math to get it in a state where we can compare. This is like comparing apples to oranges because we have two different denominators. This is a pie that's sliced into tenths. This is a pie that's sliced into ninths. Now you could probably intuit which one is larger, thinking about 1/10 of a pie versus 5/9 of a pie. You can probably intuit that this one is larger, but how do we determine that exactly? Right? How do we compare apples to apples instead of apples to oranges? So what we have to do is find common denominators. Right? We need to make equivalent fractions of 1/10 and 5/9 that have the same denominator. Right? So how do we do that? So we look at the existing denominators. We have one denominator is 10, another denominator is 9. And what we have to do is we have to find a common multiple between 10 and 9 in order to get our common denominator. It doesn't have to be the least common denominator, although using the least common denominator makes our lives easier. So here, if I think about the multiples of 10, I know that they have to end in 0. If I think about the multiples of 9, I know that the first multiple of 9 that comes to my mind is 90. All right? So therefore, I can say that the common multiple between 10 and 9 is going to be 90. So therefore, what I want to do is I want to create equivalent fractions for both 1/10 and 5/9 that both have a denominator of 90. Well, how do I do that? Well, I ask myself, how did I get mathematically? How did I get from 10 to 90? Well, I multiplied by 9. Right? So if I multiply 10 by 9 to get 90, as above, so below, I have to also multiply the numerator by that same 9 to get an equivalent fraction. So 9/90ths is equal to 1/10. Same thing here. I can ask myself mathematically, what did I multiply 9 by to turn it into 90? Well, I multiplied it by 10. As above, so below. So if I multiply the denominator by 10, I have to also multiply the numerator by 10. So 5 times 10 gives me 50/90ths is equivalent to 5/9. So now that I have common denominators, all I have to do is see that the 50 is larger than the 9 to conclude that 50/90ths and therefore 5/9 is larger than 9/90ths or 1/10. Okay? So to compare fractions, we find common denominators. So let's look at another one. Let's say we want to compare, Make some space here. Let's say we want to compare 9/12 to 7/11. Right? So which one is larger? Which one is smaller? 9/12 or 7/11? Well, we can find common denominators between 12 and 11. All right, and again, we can do that by finding the least common denominator. Rather, we can find the common denominators by finding the least common multiple between 12 and 11. And here's a trick for you that, again, you don't always have to find the least common denominator or the least common multiple. Sometimes if you want to find it and you don't know what it is offhand, it's not easy, you can just multiply the two denominators together. In this case, that actually also gives us the least common denominator. So if I do 12 times 11, that gives me 132. So we know that one common denominator is 132. All right. Again, I got that by using a little trick. I just multiply the two denominators together. They won't always give you the least common denominator, but it will always give you a common denominator. So 132. So again, how did I get 12? What did I multiply 12 by to turn it into 132? I multiplied it by 11. So likewise, I have to multiply 9 by 11 to get 99. So we get 99 132nds is equivalent to 9/12. And likewise, what did I do to 11 to turn it into 132? I multiplied it by 12. So as above, so below. I also need to multiply 7 by 12, and that gives me 84, right? So 84 132nds. Now we can compare numerators. Since 99 is greater than 84, we can say that 99 132nds is greater than 84 132nds. So therefore, 9/12 is greater than 7/11.